What's up, everybody? This is the Messed Up to Setups podcast. I'm comedian Michael Halcomb, and today I've got Oscar P with me. He's going to tell us about his journey into comedy. You're not going to want to miss this, so stick around.
It's all messed up, yeah. Everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.
What's up, everybody? This is the Messed Up to Setups podcast. I'm comedian Michael Halcomb, and today with me, comedian Oscar P. Oscar, how's it? You good?
I'm great. I just like to wave at people. That's my thing. I'm a waver.
So tell us where you at, man? Where you
I'm
situated?
in the world famous Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. This is your hometown?
I was born in Clarksville, Mississippi, but I became an adult here in Memphis.
All right. So you've been there, what, about a decade, 2 decades? What?
Close to 30 years.
Close to 30 years. And you and I were talking on the phone, I think last week or the week before or something. And you were kind of telling me some of the story about how you got into comedy, but the people who are watching or listening might not know. So how did that get started for you? Was your like entry into stand-up comedy?
My entry in stand-up comedy, between me and one of my childhood best friends, one was going to be a comedian, but I was more scared. But I used to go to the barbershop and just vent to my barber all my problems. And the whole time I'm venting, he's laughing at all my hurt. So I'm like, I'm looking for guidance here, not for him to laugh at me. He said, man, you need to get on stage and do comedy. And I was depressed, and I decided to get on stage. There's a story within the story of that. And I got on stage November 2020, never looked back.
Wow. And you what was like, how did you work up the nerve to do it, man? Because the first time like getting on stage, I think is maybe the hardest. Like what like pushed you to just finally make the decision?
I think I was at a mental low. I don't, and I say that lightly because some people have been in darker places, but I was at a very low place in my life that I had nothing to lose. I said, well, let me go and try it. And I got on stage, and the best thing about it, I was so terrible. It was nothing to do but get better.
Dude, one of the things that blows my mind, and I don't know if I should not bring this up here on the podcast or not, but we were talking on the phone the other night, and you were saying you've never actually written a joke.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
This is
No, and
the
I hate, and that's not something to brag about. Like I want to be able to write a set. It's just that I I don't think it's ADHD. It's just that I don't know how to ignore anything that's in my head while I'm talking on stage. And if I see something, I don't like I don't pride myself and say I'm a crowd work comedian. I don't do a lot of crowd work, but I just have
yeah.
whatever's on my mind at the time. It's like it come out eventually funny. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think most comedians would kill to be able to just get up and like go like that. Like the majority of comedians, probably every comedian I've had on this podcast, we talk about sort of like writing process and like I was just talking to another comedian a bit ago, and he was talking about like that how he uses the note app on his phone. We talk about, well, do you write during the week? Like, do you try to get in a quota of hours? But never having written a joke in like what 2+ decades of doing stand-up comedy that's phenomenal, dude.
Well, it's I say it'll be 13 years in November. But
13 years. All right.
I tried. I went to writing groups and I've been with comics. I could not write a set. I don't know what it is. But even when I think of a premise, it's hard for me to just say, I write down, sit and write a joke down. I have friends every day they write bits and they sell their bits. I just think it's something funny and somebody want it and I sell it. But as far as me sitting down writing a bit, and I've never done that. I can't even watch TV and say, oh, let me write on today's subject and this is going on right now. Trump should be king. Let's write a joke about that. I'm like, nah, no. I
You
don't watch
just
enough news to even know what's going on in the world anyway.
just get up and riff on it. I mean, that's impressive though. Like, and you're lightning fast, dude. Like, just from the like few conversations I've had with you, you're just lightning fast.
Mm.
And you were talking about how early on you were hosting a show there in Memphis. and you were in front of a rowdy crowd pretty often. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I host for 7 years in my opinion, and some other people opinion, the hardest room in Memphis for 7 years called Clicks. It was a pool hall in which nobody came for comedy on Wednesdays. They came to get drunk or to escape their wife or they mad at their job and other people came to play pool and I'm saying, hey man, I think I'm funny. Listen to me. So and yeah, it was I got booed probably once a month every Wednesday on average. And I used to always say, I know you didn't like this, but I'll be back next week.
That's the tagline. I know you didn't like this, but I'll be back next week. So,
Yeah.
like, how do you have the like mental wherewithal, dude? The like mental and emotional strength to get booed once a month, but keep coming back.
Well, actually, the boos were, I took a negative, made a positive. I told them when I first started doing comedy, don't be easy on me. I want to earn it. Trust me, they made me earn it. And when I knew I was funny, because Memphis humbled me because I thought I was funny, they let me know I wasn't funny. And then I thought I was funny enough. They let me know I wasn't funny enough. That clicks crowd was very hard on comedians. They did not. They came there to discourage you. So
Uh,
yeah. And it came so when you got in front of a real crowd that wanted to hear your thought process, you're like, "Wow, let me take advantage of this."
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's a completely different thing, right? When you're in front of a like the we did that search for the one show like a month or
Uh,
so ago. The crowd paid, right? They showed up. They wanted to be there. They were like primed to laugh. Like
yeah,
they weren't coming to tear you down. They were coming to have a good time. And it makes such a difference.
yes,
Right, and, yeah, I mean, even with just, like, open mics, dude, like, trying to do that sort of thing, the crowd isn't really there, they're not invested, dude, like, if they have a good time, it's like, "Okay," but it's so different than, like, a paying weekend crowd, you know?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so you worked some hard rooms there in Memphis. How old were you when you started?
I was 30, what am I now? I was 37, 38.
Alright. That doesn't make me feel too bad then. I got a late start in stand-up comedy, and what do you think about the old saying, "Stand-up comedy is a young man's game"?
I don't agree with that. I think it takes the energy of a young guy and the life experience of an older guy. So
Love that.
most comics, if they stride, like you look at Chris Rock, Chris Tucker, yeah, that was good, but that stride was prevalent in their 30s. So, and then you look at it's certain comics, it's different role for different comics. I grew up a big George Carlin fan, Howard Mandel, of course, Steve Harvey, the Kings of Comedy, things like that. And so I would say it's different strokes for different one. I don't think it's a young man's game. I think it takes the energy of a guy because, you're going to different zip codes and,
Yep.
you want to eat bad in your 20s. You don't want to eat bad at our age. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You want to eat bad in your 20s. You want to, get the hot wings and the whatever
Right.
the yeah, whatever it's bar food in your 20s. When you're over 40, bar food is a heart attack. And so
So, you've got some shows coming up, and I know you got this, Apollo gig coming up.
yeah,
When's that?
that's November 6th. November 6th. I'm excited about that. Paulo is a urban far as a comedian, certain places you are very geeked up to play for the history of it all. Apollo, JFK Center, and the Laugh Factory, certain also the Stardome in Birmingham. Shout out to Bruce Ayers and the Stardome. Certain places you very if you know your history, you want to play, you want to do good. I mean, so that's
Right.
one.
Right. Man, so if a young comedian or like somebody who's even just thinking about, man, I want to try stand-up comedy, what would be like one, two, three pieces of advice that you would give?
I would tell them that it's good to have your own material without a doubt, because a lot of people with AI, social media, you don't know where jokes come from now.
Right.
Uh, uh, you have your own material. It's good to learn your crowd and good to understand the numbers of comedy. If it's 8.5 billion people on earth at any given minute, you're not going to be funny to all of them. You're just not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? You have to literally just enjoy the ride. Everybody wants to be rich and famous in comedy, and I do too. But at the same time, is I give God the glory, and I say this all the time. I'm not a guy who act like a Christian in front of people, but I tell
Mm,
people all the time to do comedy. I am one of the I represent 1% of the people in the world. I get to do what I love and people pay me. Even though I'm not getting paid the money I want, I'm
Right,
getting paid to do something that I love doing.
right.
It's only 1% of the people in the world that does that. So no matter what the amount is, I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So going back to the first one, having your own material. Now, I know there's a lot of sort of frustration with the whole AI thing, but you had mentioned like just a little bit ago about your buddies who write jokes and sell them. I mean, that's
Yeah.
been going on for ages,
Yeah.
and we know like right, all the big comedians they have writers too.
Mhm.
So like, isn't that just as much of a help as AI would be today? I'm not
I would say
necessarily.
that too, but being a comic that maybe get a little more backstory. I hosted my own room on a Wednesday night for 7 years, and I was one of the staple hosts at Chuckles Comedy House for 5.5, maybe 6.5 years. I can't remember those numbers, so I'm quoting on that. But uh, I've done a lot of jokes with a lot of national headliners who come through and say, "Hey man, can I get that joke?" And they don't think anything of it. I'm like, you can have it, and then it's on Netflix. Now I'm like, nah, you should have paid me. But, I've sold a couple jokes in my life, but I just look at comedy far as comedy is a up art. In other words, you have to be down low to look up to see everything that's going on around you. So when you get up to that point, that's why our average comic lasts 10 years. No, Haley comic came. So a comic lasts 10 years. A comedian can go forever. So when you're looking up, you're looking at all your frustration, things you don't have, things you want to do. Now, once you get up in life, you can't look down and see all those things and recall on all the frustrations, the failures, and the relating to everyday people. You can't. So you get writers to help bring those emotions out of you so you can be funny. I don't knock it. Me personally, I think comedians should retire at 10 years. I just that's just that. And I think the run of a comic's 10 years. I mean the famous ones. So the famous ones. So I think you should move it. I can say I can't tell nobody what to do that sound bad, but I'm like after 10 years, I mean, what do you got to talk about? I mean, yeah, it's hard to be say I'm unjust. I see the injustice in the world, and I'm making 250 million a year. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on all that with the Riot Comedy Festival that just happened? With all there was a lot of fallout over that between like different camps of comedians. Some like Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle, they all went and did it, but then they were facing a lot of backlash from, other comedians who like were just against it.
Well, I would say this is impossible to try to make everyone happy. My grandfather, who was a pastor, he said something I never forget. A most comedians, no, I'm sorry, most pastors should be comedians, and most comedians should never try to preach. So, so So when he said that, comics now with social commentary, everybody want to give their political intake and things like that. I just try to fall back from that. I'm not, neutral for it because I like doing comedy in places I shouldn't be. If I ever get a
Mm.
chance to do comedy at a Klan rally, I'm gonna take it. Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
so is
funny.
that. But I mean, if I can do comedy at places I shouldn't be, I will go do it. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, to go into a prison and do comedy in some people, that was a great experience for me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't tell anybody what comic where they should play and don't play.
Right.
Give me the opportunity to fail at that level. That's all I'm asking.
Oh, I love that. Um, yeah, that's good stuff. So, what are your thoughts on crowd work, dude? Like you mentioned that like a few minutes ago, you don't do a lot of crowd work, but that's obviously become a huge internet sensation, and a number of comedians have blown up, from their crowd work clips.
Well,
What are your thoughts on crowd work?
think honestly, crowd work is comedy. It's comedy. It's comedy. The thing is, it's impossible to in other words, I look at comedy like I look at boxing. One of my favorite boxers who a lot of people don't like for his personal life, the way he carries himself is Floyd Mayweather. But I'm a big boxing fan. Floyd Mayweather uses all tools of boxing. No matter how you feel about him personally, what he says, from flash or whatever. But if you ever watch him box, it's beautiful science. He does it all. He has the good mixture of power. He got speed, he got defense, he got counter. He stands in the middle of the ring. He moves around. He know how to, counter punch. He does it all. He has every tool above average. So I
Right.
would tell comics like, yo, you do you, but everybody can't say I have no material and look at a guy and talk to this guy and have everybody interested in conversation you're having with this guy or this female or whatever. No, that's a tool set that no one basically can have. I mean, everybody just can't have that tool set. The thing is, the reason why I don't do a lot of crowd work now is because I didn't have any jokes. When I didn't have any jokes, that's all I had was crowd work. Now that I have material, let's say I began to stop using so much crowd work. I said year 6, but I was booked heavily and I didn't have any jokes. I can honestly say that. Now I'm not saying that these comics don't have jokes, but everything. How did one of my mentors said it? And I'm trying to paraphrase it. All everything funny ain't comedy, but all comedy is funny. He's
Mm.
always say that. So I wouldn't knock these guys for saying it's crowd work, whatever. But if I'm sitting down writing, if I was sitting down writing jokes, I'd probably be like, "Hey, man, that's not real skill set." But Howard Mandel never had. I would feel that way. I would feel that way. And I would feel that way if I was a guy that sit down and write jokes. I like my friend Bunya Cunningham, one of the funniest guys I've seen in my life. This man is a tactician. Like I think of something, he was like, "Hey man, it's too much meat on the bone." And I think of something with explosive laugh, boom, he would add 5 minutes to it.
Hmm.
So I never had that ability to sit back and just because I get tired of talking to people about the same thing. That's one of the reasons why I don't stay on the subject too much long. I don't want to talk to you about the same thing over and over again. I mean, that's just that.
You bore yourself.
Yeah, I get bored. I get bored on stage just memorizing material.
Man, you've mentioned a few times like comic versus comedian. Do
Yeah.
you see a difference between the two? If so,
Yeah,
what
I
is?
do. I think I look at a comic like Haley's comic, right? We see it so many, what is it, 70 years, 80 years, Haley's comics shoot across. I don't know what the years, but I remember when we was kids, Haley comics came through, everybody looked up, and then it disappeared and said be back in another century. So I
Mm,
think comics got a different time frame. Every 10 years we have that elite comic that sheds lights on so many things, from social construct to religion to politics to education to relationships. Hey, I think we have that. So I think every 10 years we have a comic that come through. Comedians tell stories and jokes.
mm,
So that's how I feel. So Dave Chappelle's a comic. Chris Rock is a comic. I think Kevin Hart is a comedian. Still funny, I think that's just that. George Carlin was a comic. Rich Pryor was a comic. Eddie Murphy was a comedian. He was just funny. I don't know any prolific joke that Eddie Murphy told that I can remember forever that stands the test of time without a reference point. Bill Cosby is the greatest comedian of all time, if you ask me. But George Carlin was probably, as far as body of work, I think he's the greatest comic of all time. That's no one because they say longevity and all those 1 hour specials. There would be no HBO if it wasn't for George Carlin.
right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting. So for somebody watching or listening, there could be some tension here because they're like, okay, your granddad was a pastor. You give God the glory, but you think of George Carlin, who is so anti God, as the greatest comic of all
well,
time. Help us make sense.
I'm gonna say right here. I'm gonna break down to you right here, man. My grandfather, who's a pastor, he's always say a lie cannot exist without the truth, right?
Right.
A lie cannot exist. It's got to be a truth for somebody to go tell a lie.
That's right.
But he also says, right here, in order for somebody to have that much anger against God, because I think George Carlin had some anger against God. There had to be a God. Why would you talk about something that's not existing? You know what I mean? So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. It's so like, dude, it's so simple when you put it that
yeah. It's I mean, I'm just saying, yeah. I
way.
mean, in order to not to believe in something, it has to be there.
Right.
All
Right.
right? It has to be there. It is that. So
Yeah.
if somebody
I
say they
just
don't believe in God, then women, the word
yeah.
says, I don't believe in. That means it's there. You just don't trust it. So,
Right,
uh,
right.
you know,
I just wrote a thing on my blog yesterday, a post on my blog yesterday. The title of it was "Might Jokes Be Proof of God's Existence?" It's
yeah.
kind of an interesting thing because it's actually the thought process is a little bit along those same lines, right? For a joke to work, right, there has to be a shared set of assumptions
Mhm.
that people have,
Yeah.
right? And then, in other words, there has to be a rule, a norm, and then for a joke to work, you're going to try to break the norm or, twist the norm or
Yeah.
something, shatter the norm, something like that. And in there, I'm exploring, like if that's the case, like what then does that say about God? Right. And so, anyways, for those of you watching and listening, go check it out. It's on michaelhalcomb.live. But it's a interesting thought. What is it like? What has it been like being a Christian in the comic world for you, in the comedy world for you?
I used to do a joke that I'm a born again hypocrite. In other words, I used to be judgmental on certain things, but never looking at whatever I got going on. I mean,
Right.
and God started dealing with certain things, but I would say that I am a Christian. I mean, and I am a project and work. I am proof of God's grace and love, but all the stupid stuff I've done since I've been on planet Earth. I mean, if you don't believe in grace, favor, and God's love, let me tell you my complete story. You gotta know God loves somebody. But I tell you my story, and I don't hold back like woe is me. Things just happened to me and I had to trust on God. I let you know, nope, I took advantage of God's grace. I was wrong for it, but it was over there, so I had to use it.
Man, well, you got some good things coming up, man. I'm going to point people to your website here. So let me do that. If you're watching, you're going to be able to see this on the screen. If you're listening, go check this out when you get a chance. OscarPisfunny.com. You can check out his website here. You can book him for parties, comedy clubs, events, corporate events, all sorts of things. Oscar P been all over the place, man. Funny Bone, Chuckles Comedy House, Zanies, so on and so forth. There's some clips here on the website. You can follow him on social, and yeah, lots of good things going on, man. So kudos to you on all the success, man, that you're having.
Yeah. And all my blessings come from God. All my mistakes are mine. Right there.
That
All
was
my-
the most unenthusiastic. Yeah.
yeah.
Dude,
Well,
so good.
I've learned to be even keel, man, because uh it's just, I have appeared to be arrogant to a lot of people. It's
Mm,
just that I see things as they happen, and so when you see them, I already saw it gonna happen, you know. But I had to
right.
learn to. I don't like being fake or phony. Saying, "Yeah, I've seen some comics walking people. Thank you. People like you had a great set. Thank you. I appreciate. We get agreement. I know I had a good set, but I just try to be even keeled about certain things.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. The humility goes a long way as well, man. So, well, for those of you watching and listening, this is only part one of our chat. We're going to have a part two, and we're going to deal with some jokes in that episode. So you're not going to want to miss that. Head over to OscarPisfunny.com. And after you're done there, following and whatnot, head over to michaelhalcomb.live. You can subscribe to the daily comedy blog and the podcast there as well. But we're going to end our first chat here. We're going to stop there and say we hope that helps.
It's all messed up, yeah. Everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just